scientists finally explain why some brains recover faster and how to train yours. Have you ever noticed that some people fall apart when life gets hard and others somehow become stronger? Not because they feel less pain, not because their problems are smaller, but because something inside their brain works differently. What if that difference isn't talent or luck or willpower, but a specific neurological pattern you can actually train? Today, science finally has a remarkable answer, and it will change how you see yourself. Most people think resilience means being tough, unshakable, emotionally bulletproof. But here's the truth most people avoid. Real resilience isn't about not feeling the pain. It's about what your brain does after the pain arrives. And the difference between those who recover and those who collapse. It's not character, it's not willpower, it is neuroscience. And neuroscience can be learned. Two people, same storm, same loss, same heartbreak, same failure. One crumbles beneath the weight of it. One rises quietly from the same wreckage. For years, we called this strength of character or faith or fortune. But neuroscientists at leading research institutions have spent decades studying exactly this phenomenon. And what they found completely overturns everything we thought we knew about the human brain's response to adversity. What they discovered will change how you see yourself. Deep inside your brain, two systems are locked in a constant, invisible conversation. The first is your amygdala, your brain's ancient threat detection center. It evolved hundreds of thousands of years ago with one purpose: to keep you alive. The second is your prefrontal cortex, the seat of reason, calm, and executive thought. When life is stable, these two systems work in harmony. But the moment a crisis arrives, everything changes, and not in the way most people expect. The moment your brain perceives a threat, whether real or imagined, physical or emotional, your amygdala floods the body with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate accelerates, your breathing shallows, and your prefrontal cortex, your rational thinking brain, essentially goes offline. Think about the last time something overwhelmed you, that paralysis, that spiral of worst-case thoughts. That wasn't weakness. That was your amygdala doing exactly what it was designed to do. The question is, can it be retrained? But here is the question neuroscientists began asking. If the stress response is hardwired, if the hijack is automatic, can it ever truly change? Can a brain that has spent years in survival mode actually learn to operate differently? Can the neural architecture of a person who has always collapsed under pressure be deliberately, scientifically, permanently rewired? The answer, backed by decades of rigorous research and thousands of documented case studies, is an unequivocal yes. The discovery that changed everything is called neuroplasticity. For most of scientific history, researchers believed the brain was essentially fixed after childhood, that the neural pathways you developed in your early years were permanent. But decades of research have now confirmed something extraordinary. Your brain never stops changing. Every experience you have, every thought you repeat, every emotional response you practice, you are physically, structurally reshaping your neural architecture. The brain you have today is not the brain you are required to keep. Now, here is where something remarkable begins to happen, because long before neuroscience had brain scans and functional MRI machines, the ancient wisdom traditions were already pointing to this exact truth. The Stoics, the Buddhist masters, the mystics and sages who built these temples across the ancient world, they could not explain the default mode network. They could not name the amygdala. But they had discovered, through direct and rigorous observation, something modern science is only now confirming: the mind can be trained. There is a third system in your brain that most people never hear about, and it is the key to everything. It is called the default mode network. It activates when you are not focused on the outside world, when you are remembering the past, imagining the future, or simply talking to yourself inside your own mind. And for most people living in chronic suffering, this network runs on a relentless, automatic loop of fear. The sages did not know about the default mode network. They did not have functional MRI machines or cortisol level tests. But they knew, through thousands of years of direct human observation, that a mind which can observe its own suffering without collapsing into it operates on a fundamentally different level than a mind that cannot. And now neuroscience has the data, the imaging, the longitudinal studies to prove precisely what they always knew. That difference between observing pain and drowning in it changes everything. Detachment is not coldness, it is not indifference, it is not building a wall around your heart to keep the pain at bay. The ancient teachers, and now modern neuroscience, are pointing to precisely the same thing. The ability to feel the full weight of an emotion without being destroyed by it, to let the rain fall without drowning in it. This is not suppression. This is the most advanced form of emotional intelligence the brain is capable of. But here is what most people get wrong. They believe resilience is something you either have or you don't. That some people were simply born emotionally stronger and others were not. That thought, that quiet, deeply held belief most people never even examine, is exactly what keeps millions of people locked in cycles of collapse. Because if resilience is a fixed trait, there is nothing to be done. And that belief, the neuroscience is clear, is simply not true. Think of your brain not as a photograph, fixed, permanent, unchangeable, but as a garden. Every thought you repeat, every emotional response you practice, every moment you choose awareness over reaction, you are either planting weeds or growing roots. The brain does not judge what you are practicing, it simply strengthens whatever you repeat. That is the most important sentence in this entire video. Your brain is always listening. It is always building, always becoming what you practice. At the University of Wisconsin, neuroscientist Dr. Richard Davidson spent decades studying the brains of people with measurably high resilience. What he found was consistent and remarkable. Resilient individuals showed significantly stronger activation in the left prefrontal cortex, the region governing positive emotional states, recovery from setbacks, and executive regulation. And when his team studied long-term meditators, that same region was dramatically more active than in any control group. Resilience was not inherited, it was built, deliberately, consistently, over time. A neural pathway is like a trail through a forest. The first time you walk it, it barely exists. But every time you return, every time you practice the response, repeat the thought, choose the emotion deliberately, the trail becomes wider, clearer, more automatic. Resilience is not a trait, it is a neural pathway. And like every pathway in the brain, it gets stronger, faster, and more natural every single time you walk it. If this is resonating with you, if something here is confirming what you have quietly sensed for a long time, make sure you subscribe. Every week on this channel, we explore the science behind the most important things you were never taught. We will keep going. The first practice is called affect labeling, and it is backed by some of the most compelling research in modern neuroscience. A landmark study from UCLA found that simply naming what you feel, placing a precise word on an emotion, reduces amygdala activation by up to 50%. Not suppressing the emotion, not analyzing it into abstraction, simply naming it with accuracy. The moment you say, "I feel afraid," instead of drowning in the fear, you return executive power to your rational brain. There is something profoundly transformative about the act of naming. When you move an experience from the felt, wordless body, where it is overwhelming and boundless and consuming, into language, you bring it into the territory of your prefrontal cortex. You make it specific. You make it finite. You make it something that can be observed rather than something you are trapped inside of. That shift, from drowning in an emotion to observing it, is precisely where healing begins. The second practice is called stress inoculation, and the principle is elegant in its simplicity. When you deliberately expose your nervous system to controlled, manageable discomfort, cold water, intense breathwork, voluntary physical challenge, you are not punishing yourself. You are teaching your amygdala a new and critical lesson. You are providing neurological evidence that discomfort is survivable, that the threat is not terminal. Over time, your brain stops treating every hardship as a catastrophe. It has learned biologically that you are more capable than it believed. You are not avoiding the discomfort. You are not numbing it or running from it. You are teaching your nervous system at the cellular, biological level that it knows how to return to calm. Every deliberate breath after a moment of stress. Every time you stay present when every instinct says flee. You are writing a new story in your biology. That story becomes your automatic response. That is neuroplasticity in practice, in your own body. The third practice is perhaps the most powerful and the one most deeply aligned with every wisdom tradition that has ever existed. It is called meaning-making, and it comes from one of the most significant psychological discoveries of the 20th century. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps and documented his observations with extraordinary precision, found something that neuroscience would later confirm. The human being who can assign meaning to suffering does not break in the same way. Here is the truth most people avoid. Suffering without meaning slowly destroys the nervous system. It activates the default mode network in its most corrosive pattern: rumination, self-blame, catastrophizing, hopelessness. But suffering that is assigned meaning, even painful, imperfect, provisional meaning, begins rewiring that same network toward recovery and growth. Frankl called it the last of human freedoms. Neuroscience calls it cognitive reappraisal. The ancient teachers called it wisdom. All three are pointing through the same door. In Japan, there is an ancient art form called kintsugi, the practice of repairing broken pottery with gold, making the fractured places the most luminous parts of the object. The philosophy is simple but devastating in its truth. The breakage and the repair are part of the history of the object. They are not hidden, they are honored. Neuroscience now confirms the brain operates on a strikingly similar principle. The places where you were broken and where you rebuilt are not your weakness, they are the architecture of your resilience. 3 practices, each one backed by decades of rigorous scientific research, each one confirmed independently by centuries of accumulated wisdom. Name the emotion and return power to your rational brain. Inoculate your nervous system by choosing discomfort with intention, and assign meaning, even imperfect, evolving, provisional meaning, to everything that has broken you open. These are not motivational suggestions. These are neurological interventions. They change the physical structure of your brain. Practice them consistently, and you will become someone different. Every wisdom tradition throughout recorded human history pointed toward this transformation. The Stoics taught the discipline of perception, that you cannot always control what happens, but you can always, with practice, train your response. The Buddhist masters taught non-attachment as the primary path through suffering. The mystics taught stillness as the gateway to strength. They did not have the imaging technology, they did not have the longitudinal data, but they had observed thousands of human beings across thousands of years. They knew. Neuroscience is not replacing ancient wisdom, it is confirming it. It is providing the precise neurological mechanism for what the sages had been mapping for millennia without a laboratory. The brain scan and the scripture are not enemies. They are 2 languages describing the same profound reality, that the human mind, when trained with consistency, intention, and genuine self-honesty, is capable of a quality of inner peace that most people, living as they currently are, will never touch. They still feel the cold. They still feel the loss. They still grieve the things that did not work out the way they hoped, the way they needed, the way they prayed. But their brain has been trained to return to center. Their nervous system has learned that discomfort is survivable. Their default mode network has been rewired away from catastrophe toward meaning. They no longer collapse when things don't go their way. That is not luck. That is not talent. That is neuroscience. That is power. You cannot become someone new while clinging to the old story about who you are. You cannot rewire a brain you refuse to examine with honesty. And you cannot build resilience by avoiding every experience that challenges you. The neuroscience is clear. The ancient wisdom is clear. The only thing standing between the person you are today and the person your brain is genuinely capable of becoming is the decision to begin. And that decision is available to you right now. And remember, sometimes the greatest transformation in life begins the moment you stop waiting to feel strong enough, wise enough, ready enough, and start training your brain to become it. Not someday, not when circumstances are easier or the path is clearer. Now, in this exact moment, with the precise life you are already living, because the pathway is already there. It simply needs to be walked. One deliberate step, then another, then another. If this video resonated with you, if something here confirmed what you have always quietly known but perhaps never had the language for, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this message today. We explore the science behind the most important things you were never taught. Every single week, we will see you in the next one.